this thing of you are being churned and manipulated, and a statistic is being thrown in your direction, and you're being told, actually, you should be very happy because we are the most progressive country in Africa. So your individual or regional or collective problems don't matter because we are doing this fine. So that is where the problem is. You can use those numbers to just show anything. But this government fears its citizens. I have not seen a government that is in such mortal fear of citizens that they set up forums, they speak at you and tell you what they want you to hear, but they never want to give you an opportunity to meaningfully feedback. And that is what we saw being replayed in Parliament today. And that is why, for example, since 2013, when we had elections, and we've had all these problems and all these mysteries around elections, and we've had all these problems about people who have not been resettled since the violence of 2008 and so on and so forth. We have never had inclusive forums where we say, do those things matter to us in terms of our inclusiveness? Do those things matter to us in terms of our social justice? How do those things reflect on those numbers that you're talking about, where we are supposed to be doing very well? The fact that you've got large sections of the population that are just about hanging, or barely hanging on. So there's a narrative that is being propelled by these numbers that is actually quite void and quite vacuous. You build this thing, and after some time, after you read it off, you begin to think, because that's what you desperately want to convince yourself is the case, that we are doing fine and everything is fine. Everything is not fine in this country.
Yes, Prof, and let me come to Prof, because we're going to an election next year, and one of the things that your coalition has talked about time and again is that we shouldn't go to that election with the IEBC as currently constituted. The Supreme Court, which is the final arbiter, has also come under sharp focus in as far as the issues therein are concerned. Why are you disappointed that the issue of electoral reforms did not come up? Because there are those who say that's the big elephant in the room that the president did not touch today.
If I was the president and I was going to reassure Kenyans that the nation is going to be in good health, I would have told Kenyans today, fellow citizens, do not fear. We have a solution to the IEBC crisis. We don't want you to fear that the referee will again be a bad referee. We want a referee who will be impartial, who will make sure that the elections are free and fair. And I give you my commitment that when those elections are held, the victors will celebrate their victory, while the losers will accept the results as legitimate, because that's a true test of a democratic election. If that does not happen, fellow citizens, I assure you that, and if I cannot guarantee that, I assure you that I myself am not prepared to participate in that election, then people would have left when the president sends his speech and say, we have faith in our country. But as of today, there is tremendous fear. Just talk to businessmen, talk to any what is going to happen after the next election? What is going to happen during the election? Because there's uncertainty. There is fear. And I think that doesn't augur well with the state of the nation. I would also tell them that the Constitution brought in certain independent institutions, like the judiciary, the Supreme Court. We have had problems with having these independent institutions to manage good governance in this country. I have consulted with my cabinet. I have consulted with civil society. I have consulted with the opposition. I have consulted with the business community. And today, let me tell you, as a result of this broad participation in finding an answer to our problem, this is what I'm going to state to you. I would have been very happy. And I would have said, next time President Uhuru Kenyatta holds a State of the Union address, I will go. I will not keep away as I've been keeping away.
Okay. All right. You had something to say.
Yeah, Sophie, let me first remind, especially my good friend and colleague, Kigoro, that what the president was doing today in his State of the Nation address, as I said earlier, is a constitutional mandate with specific requirements from the Constitution as far as Article 10 of the Constitution is concerned.
Yes.
He's supposed to report on tangibles. I mean, those statistics and numbers is what he is supposed to tell the country. The Article 10, as I'm sure my colleagues will remember very well, sets out clear targets, clear areas that the president is supposed to address in his State of the Union, in his State of the Nation.
Yes.
From the progress we have made as a country to the state of devolution and to the state of our unity. And he has to address specific issues. So all those issues that he pointed out, the numbers, the statistics, that is what he's required to do as far as the Constitution requires him to do. But even more so, I would really be surprised if we would not say and feel as Kenyans, because this is not about CORD or about the political persuasion I have or Jubilee. He was not addressing the nation today as the leader of Jubilee. He was addressing the nation as the head of state.
Yes.
Now, why wouldn't we feel proud as Kenyans to know that there are particular areas that we have made real advances in? For example, when we talk about the achievements we have made in the energy sector, why wouldn't we be happy to know that it costs now Atieno or Wanjiko or Sophia, wherever you are, less to light up your house? You don't need to go and buy kerosene. You can use electricity. It's cheaper. Isn't that something
So
to
from
be
where you
proud
see
of?
the State of the
I mean,
Nation address is the update on how
all
we're
those
doing on various
issues that were
fronts.
addressed by the president, from the achievements we have made in our infrastructural development, in the energy sector, in our unity as a nation, all those things are relevant. Now, to say that we would be happier supposing he would abandon that and start addressing political reforms. Yes, he could touch on them if they were relevant, and as only
Are they
provided
not
for,
right now?
as only provided for in that requirement of abiding by Article 10 of the Constitution. But even if he were to address the issues of political reform, let me be also clear on this. He's not supposed to come and address the fears of CORD. He's not supposed to come and address the fears of another political party like ODM or what their wishes would be. And I would want to concur partly with what Senator Nyong'o says. If it is indeed talking about political reforms that will see this nation moving forward, and that is, by the way, what he said,
Yes.
that we need to be one. That is the question you asked earlier about that covenant he was talking about, that we seem to have broken now. We are able to move more closer to that covenant, to the reality of it, if we move in together as one. But you see, if we would be all the time relegated to remembering and
Yes.
talking about the IABC
All right.
as an umpire who is not fair according to the judgment of one of the players, for example, who is called,
Okay.
then that does not amount to a State of the
Paul,
Nation address.
But Paul, Article 10 says, among other things, 10.2, the national values and principles of governance include A, patriotism, national unity, sharing and evolution of power,
Yes.
the rule of law, democracy and participation of the people, human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination and protection of the marginalized, good governance, integrity, transparency and accountability. I mean, look, for example, if you just look at appointments in public positions, and the facts are there. When a Kenyan from Lodwar or a Kenyan from Othochrakuom in South Nyanza looks at that list, do they feel it included? And inclusiveness is one of the principles of national values here. Just that question. I think those fears of Kenyans, the president will say, look, I know these figures are there, and my attention has been drawn to them. Between now and when we have the next election, I must address myself to these issues of exclusivity, because they are real. We can't ignore them. Secondly, Paul says, it's not a question of addressing the fears of ODM or CORD. Unfortunately, that is 50% or more of the population. You can't talk about the state of the nation and consciously exclude a certain section of the political realm or the social realm who have fears and you don't want to address them. What nation are you talking about?
All right.
No,
Our time is up. I want to bring in Kagura. We have 2 minutes to go. So I want to give each of you a minute. Kagura, we'll begin with you. Sum up for us from where you sit, living in this country, the state of the nation. The president said it is strong. What do you think?
I think
Briefly.
this country has problems. We all admit that. I would have expected that the president provides his own appreciation of our problems. We've in various places said ourselves, this is our view of the problems of this country. Listening to the president, he did not mention a single problem. According to the president, this country does not have a single problem. It is all rosy, it is all those things. Kenya is number 1 and number 4 and so on and so forth. That is the Kenya that he lives in. It is like the Iran of 1979. Where you've got the Shah and his little party, and they're having their nice party, and there's a revolution brewing outside by angry students, and they're not aware of it. So we've got a bubble that I think has been cocooned inside of the president's party, and that is what he really spoke to. The things that people feel and think about in the streets were not reflected in the speech. That is why it had no reference to Kenya's problems.
So to you, the state of the nation is?
Problems.
Problems. All right. Your final thoughts, Senator Wamatangi, before we go to...
I think from the State of the Nation address given by our president, it is clear that one, he fully appreciates that we have come a long way, that we have had challenges, but we have made strides in the positive, that we have moved on. We have made progress as far as the energy sector is concerned. We have brought in and installed more power generation into the sector. As far as our infrastructural projects are concerned, we have built more roads than were built since independence. At this time, we have made real progress in the education center, in welfare, and that is the way the nation is going. And you know, I say this without batting an eyelid, that I feel good about where we are going, because I know this, that we have had worse times, we have had worse regimes, and this is a regime that has done one of the most important things, shown commitment to a better country.
Yes.
And as long as we support, as long as we can agree to attest to that covenant as a nation, then I'm sure we'll be able to make progress and put aside some of our political differences. And like my friend Prof has said, yes, CORD is a part of this country, but CORD is not everything in this country. Neither is Jubilee. I mean, we are all a part of this country, and that's what we need to appreciate, that we need to address the bigger picture for us to look at a bigger future.
So the state of the nation, according to you, is...
I agree
strong.
with Paul.
Very strong.
All right.
I agree with Paul. CORD is not the whole of Kenya, nor is Jubilee the whole. We are the two,
Absolutely.
and others make Kenya. That I agree. And none should be excluded. Having said that, and I'm glad the president today said that he is building on the achievement of past government. That pleased me because it means Vision 2030 is being followed. And indeed, the SGR was conceived in the NAG government, brought up in the coalition government, and is now being fostered in this government. This is good. But that is the hardware of development. The software of development in the hearts of the people, not in the heads of the people. The hardware is very difficult, very easy to count. And indeed, I'm glad the hardware, we can see growth statistics being given. But the software of development, inclusiveness, nationhood, pulling together the kind of values we are giving here, social equity, social justice, which the TGRC was supposed to do. It is really tragic that neither the coalition government nor the present government has addressed the TGRC. I have a feeling that if we do not take the TGRC seriously, all this hardware of economic growth could easily be a blow up, and it has happened in many countries. And the reason why I would hate to see the achievement of Vision 2030 being blown up because we have not paid attention to the software of development, the hearts of the people.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, Kisumu Senator. Also with us tonight, Kimani Wamatangi, who's Kiambu Senator, and George Kagoro on my extreme right there, political analyst. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight on The Last Word. That's why we wrap it up. I'm Sophia Wanuna. Have yourselves a good night, and God bless Kenya.
Forward.
Thank you.